That's a really good bit of business from Brentford.
It is a fairy tale and he deserves it, thoroughly deserves it.
I'm not going to come on here as someone as a Manchester United fan asking for sympathy. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen.
It's Friday, it's 5 p.m, the sun is shining, and tomorrow we're back at the G-Tech for our first home Premier League match of the season as we take on Manchester United. And I'm here at the Fuller's Brewery and Shop down in Chiswick. Bees fans, get down here for 10% off. Take full advantage of that for your barbecues this weekend. They've also got non-alcoholic beers, which I'm on today. And joining me, as always, is my new away day buddy, Natalie Sawyer.
Yeah.
The coolest man at Brentford these days, Rhys Weston, and from the United View, thanks for joining us. It's Flex. Good to see you, mate. Thanks for having me, guys. Right?
Yeah.
We always start the show with a toast. We just did one to Flex there. Big one, got to be to Josh Dasilva. What a performance last Sunday. And big news, you guys watching this on Friday will know already. Woo. This man is now officially a Brentford player. Mikkel Damsgaard, love that. What a signing. So I think we've got to start with him, have we not? I'm going to actually go to Flex first. Obviously, Sky Sports News Transfer Centre, every morning we see you on there. From a neutral, what do you make of our new addition?
A bit jealous, to be honest. You know, we need some stuff, but that's a really good bit of business from Brentford. I mean, you've had a good transfer window as well from the outside looking in. You know, you lose a player like of Christian Eriksen's quality, and you look at what Damsgaard can bring. You don't want to throw around the terms, you know, like for like, but you know, that's pretty close. And in terms of the way you want to play, you know, Thomas Frank's on the front foot. You know, you don't just sit back and just withhold pressure, and he wants players on the ball. He wants technical players. And I think, like I said, with Christian Eriksen going out the door and Damsgaard coming in, I think Brentford are just as strong. It's not a big loss now.
No, it's been an exciting window, and I'll be honest, this was one that. It was another one I didn't see coming at the start of the window, and it's just kind of ramped up the kind of rumours and stuff like that. And I don't know, how are you feeling now that you've seen him there in the lovely new third shirt as well?
This is it. I'm looking at it, just thinking, doesn't he look great? He looks so at home. He looks happy. He wears the shirt well, and yeah, like you've just said, just to have that added quality into that squad. And you mentioned being an away day buddy. We went to Leicester, and you know, in a way, you sort of think maybe that's what we're missing in that first half. Someone to allow Tony to stay up, because at times I felt he was dropping a little bit deep, and then maybe he would want to be doing it at Leicester. And I just think when you've got someone of that player, of that quality in your team, then hopefully it means Tony can stay where he needs to be staying to score the goals and hopefully do us justice this season.
It's easy to forget that not too long ago, this was a player, Rhys, that was being linked with Liverpool, Spurs for silly amounts of money, and the obvious thing to think back to is the Euros and the impact he made. Obviously,
in the Euros, wasn't
obviously what happened tragically to Christian Eriksen, and he kind of came in and he kind of got thrust onto the world stage in that tournament, scored the goal against England, and I don't know, it's really like Natalie says, it's just been the top of an amazing window so far, hasn't it?
It has been, and I think it's testament to the recruitment that we do at the club. Obviously, Liam and Phil doing an incredible job at identifying talent, and you know, you look at the money that the transfer is going to end up costing. It's in relative terms, it's brilliant business. And, you know, so you're now looking at what's been a fantastic window with Strakosha, Hickey, Keane Lewis-Potter, now Damsgaard coming in. You know, the return of Josh to full fitness. You can sense the buzz around the place. And as Flex said, you know, Christian Eriksen leaving was always going to be a bitter pill to swallow, but you know, you look at the dynamic of the squad, and the players that have come in are going to have a real impact on the first team starting 11, not just the squad. I think it's been brilliant, and I'm really looking forward to seeing him in the Premier League.
Well, look, we're going to be talking more about Mikkel Damsgaard on Last Orders on the website. Make sure you head over to that after you've watched this, of course. We're going to start off with some Leicester chat. Obviously, we went out there on Sunday. Great little away day we had, didn't we?
It was fantastic.
Ended up at the Globe, Last Orders. Always drink responsibly.
Considering I'd been up since 3:30, I think I did well to last Orders. So,
definitely better performance than myself. But we've decided, we basically put to you guys in the week, wanting to know your thoughts on the game. We asked you to sum it up in a sentence. So we're going to use this as kind of the backbone for this chat and kind of gauge the fans from, well, the feelings from the fans. First one, it was a draw that felt like a win.
Definitely.
That's how we felt walking out that stadium, didn't we? And when we saw
buzzing.
Talia, who's behind that camera, definitely it felt like a loss to her in the home end, didn't it, Natalie?
Oh yeah, definitely. It was a case of we couldn't really talk about the game. It felt like with Talia and her dad. And any time I slightly started to gloat, her dad was like, "I am driving, remember?" But no, it did. It really did feel like a win when you score such a late equaliser as we did, and then felt like we were pushing even further to maybe get a winner. It was a great second half. The first half maybe less so to talk about, but yeah, it was brilliant, and I thoroughly enjoyed being in the away end. It was brilliant.
I got some interesting insight from you around Stu's behaviour as well,
Yeah.
which we can take offline.
Yeah, I think he's part of some hidden Brentford firm, the way he acts.
Well, actually, you have to clear that is not true as a
Really
club
is. No,
employee.
I know you're not.
Woo!
No, you're very passionate though. You're very passionate.
Okay, anyway, right, Isla Kerr, she said, almost awesome atmosphere. Very friendly atmosphere, I think she means, from certain members of the crowd.
Obviously, I was joking.
Very hot in
Don't
here
need
as
to
well.
stress.
It's an away day.
That's
Don't play it down. It's an away
It's
day,
an away
mate.
day.
You're loud, you're
Passionate.
passionate.
Exactly.
Where's Amber? Bring Amber back. She was brilliant last week.
First time I've seen him absolutely squirm, and I'm really enjoying every second of it.
I didn't even start that. It was you that started the
I
squirm.
just passed on some feedback. That's what it's all about, right?
Great performance all round, Isla Kerr. Would you agree, Rhys?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
Great performance all
You'll be
round.
hosting this next week. So
Go out on a high then. Show everybody it's Brentford firm.
no, drink responsibly.
No, I think I echo Natalie's sentiments absolutely. When you're 2-0 down away at Leicester, we spoke about in last week's show about what we're going to get from Leicester. We didn't really know. A lot of conjecture, a lot of uncertainty around a lot of their key players. They can go one or two ways. Again, another outstanding strike by Dewsbury Hall. I think Thomas referenced it in his pre-match, didn't he, about all these wonder strikes, and another one. But the character and the belief and that kind of that never say die attitude, and that, you just know. Again, the 5 subs I think is going to help us massively this season. Thomas is so tactically astute; he can see things, he can change things, and we've got the bodies now to make real differences.
But that's what he said as well. When people were saying, "Oh, 5 subs only going to benefit the stronger clubs, the bigger clubs," Thomas, right from the start, was like, "No, tactically, I can change games."
I like
he wanted
that because obviously supporting Manchester United. I heard that kind of that narrative or that opinion that it's only going to benefit the top 6 who have loads of money and huge budgets, and what about the smaller clubs who maybe can't do that? And it's interesting to hear that Thomas Frank said that actually.
Yeah, tactically, he just thought it would be better for him because he knew he would be able to, like he did against Leicester. That's exactly what he did.
Well, people have said it's almost now like starters and finishers.
Yeah.
Flex. Do you think that's going to be something that's going to creep in, that maybe clubs might have pre-agreed substitutions?
It's a bit like pre-season games, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
75th minute, get them 5 on.
But it's almost like they might even in training go, right, well, we know at a certain time in the game we're going to change to this system if it's going like this, so everyone knows beforehand. Do you think you're going to see that?
I think you're going to get different types of games. Sometimes when obviously with the limited 3 subs, a game follows quite a regular pattern, and then you might get sort of 1 player or 2 players could come in and just their individual kind of brilliance maybe wins you the game. But when you can bring on up to 5, essentially half the team, a lot can change, because literally you can set up a whole different way tactically with 5 different personnel in there. So I think we're going to see that throughout the season for sure.
Well, Rhys, you covered a couple there, because JDT1709 said never write us off, and that's something that we saw a lot last season as well. And we know the narrative's been from Thomas about fitness levels, and I know people have posted videos of like Conte's pre-season. We've seen it. They are working these lads hard, and we've seen it already, aren't we? Like, we looked fresh in those last 20 minutes. Whereas I know Leicester didn't make any substitutions, but is this something that over the course of the season, Rhys, is really going to carry us?
I think it has to. Again, if you're you talk about budgets and the ability to compete in the transfer market, but if you don't have that, you've got to find the edge from somewhere else. And as you said, like, what I've seen in pre-season, the intensity that the guys train, that gives me anxiety. Like, I just watch it.
Thank God I'm not playing anymore.
Yeah, I've said it. It's like you look at them and you see the desire and how much effort they put into their training session. And again, it's important that you peak at the right time, obviously. And as I think as Ben touched on in last week's show, Ben Mee said about it may take a couple of games running on fumes a little bit to get through the first 2 or 3 90 minutes, but then when you get into your groove. But absolutely, I think the fitness is going to be vitally important, and we're a young group as well, and I think that'll certainly give us an edge, especially when you're going into the winter break, and that's going to have obviously a bit of a strange dynamic with the back end of the season. A lot more games coming thick and fast. I think fitness is going to be key for us this year.
It's a versatile group as well. We saw Vita again dropping into the defensive line, and I remember when I just played in the league, it was always like, it's got disjointed because of all the subs. It doesn't seem like that's happening, does it, Natalie? It seems like it's still fluid.
Well, yeah, for Vita to drop into the back line, like you say, it didn't even seem like... You felt like, he could actually start in that role.
Yeah.
He was so good at carrying the ball out as well. And, it like you say, it feels as though it's something they've just worked on, knowing that if a game's not going to plan, we can make tactical changes that can turn that game around, as it did at Leicester. So hopefully we'll see plenty more of that starting on Saturday.
Well, we're going to get onto that in a bit. ZTO_10 says Thomas Frank tactical masterclass, like we've just mentioned there. But we've got to get on to this man. And Flex, I want to get your opinion on him, because I wonder how much Premier League fans maybe know about him. And that's Josh Dasilva, who came on, had an incredible impact. Della Cole said Dasilva's back, simply. Another one, JDS masterclass from Emily. We know everything, how well he can do, and we know his game inside out. It seems to me that maybe Leicester don't, by letting him come inside at the weekend.
What a strike.
What a strike. But how much do you know maybe, Flex, about him? Because he missed pretty much the whole of last season.
Yeah, I mean, for me, obviously at Premier League level, I don't know much about him in terms of what he can do at this level. Like you said, being injured for large parts, but when you look at what he did when he come on against Leicester, like you said, clearly they didn't have a clue about him, and that's clearly must be one of his strengths, coming in on that left foot and putting it in the far corner. But he looks very, very fit now, definitely. Obviously, surely Thomas Frank's going to give him that time to build. Has he had a good pre-season as well? It looks like he's got that, because to come on and look that sharp, he must have had a good pre-season, I'm assuming. But he looks like another threat. And when I look at how dynamic your team can be at the top end of the pitch, I look at him when I look at Tony with his link-up play, and he's like the glue and he has the runners off him. And then you add him into it, I'm getting even more worried, to be honest with you. Getting even more worried than I already was. So,
I think the key is just give him lots of space.
Yeah.
He hates space, hates it.
He'll probably always go on the
he
outside
seems to be
as
having
well.
quite a lot of space right now, so maybe he probably will get a lot of space.
Natalie, as a supporter though, it was just such a beautiful moment, wasn't it? It was weird, because it was one where he got the ball and everyone's going, go on, and you kind of were like, go on Josh, and I'm getting, not going a bit, I'm getting a little bit of goosebumps now, because I've seen how hard he worked as well, and I was lucky enough to talk to him in the summer, and he was saying, basically a doctor said you may never play football again.
Really?
Well, he said you won't play football again. He was like, no, I'm going to keep going. It was a hip injury. He was spending days where he was literally just hooked up to fluid to getting the blood circulating again, because there was no other way of coming back, and he was just sitting in that chair for hours on a day to do that, and then come back at that level and score that goal, that equaliser in front of that away end as well. I don't know, it was just an amazing moment, wasn't it?
No, it was, and I've got a massive soft spot for Josh Dasilva. I think I always have. It helps that we're born on the same day, so I think it's a twin. We equally have similar strengths when it comes to the football pitch, really don't. It was, in recent sort of history of Brentford, we've had some fairy tale stories and feel-good stories. Obviously, Christian Eriksen last season. This moment for Josh Dasilva was just one of those where it just felt like it was destiny that he was going to do something on his return. And I'm just so chuffed for him, because he has worked so hard to get back. And it must have been so hard to be sat on the sidelines, seeing the kind of relative success that we had in the Premier League, and even before that with the Championship playoff, and not being able to be a part of it, really. What I must say about him as well, what I've always loved is, even though he's not been able to be part of the first team squad, he's still been in and amongst it. You've always seen him down by the dugout towards the end of matches. He's still very much one of those that wanted to be a part of it all, and I think that's just testament to who he is and his character.
It was harder for me when you'd known that he'd been so much a part of the earlier part of the journey. Like he wasn't a new signing that was coming in and kind of not played much football. He'd been there in the Championship days, and he'd come through. And again, another little moment was just beautiful at the end when Thomas is making sure that he goes back, and Thomas is pointing at him to the fans. That was just a really, I know it's week one, but it was just a really lovely image for the season straight away. And I think even that photo there is like him pointing up to the fans. I'm sure he's got friends and family in there. Again, it was like that. It was like the "this is what it means" moment with Pontus at the back end of last season, wasn't it, Rhys?
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree with everything that Natalie said and yourself. When you see someone that's been so influential, has played so regularly, that then hits a wall and through no fault of their own, missed so much football. and then to come back into last season, you could tell he was really, really trying, and it just wasn't. He couldn't get into any kind of rhythm. It's a great pre-season again, from what I've seen, what I've heard, and then that culminates in getting the equalising goal on Sunday against Leicester. It is a fairy tale, and he deserves it. Thoroughly deserves it, and I'm pretty sure he'll be now going, right, Gaffer.
Yeah.
Saturday's coming,
Well,
but that's, as a manager, that's what you want, right? You want to have this. You want to have, not just an 11 that picks itself. You want a squad of 20 that are all fighting to try and put themselves forward to start, and we seem to be getting that.
You're looking at options, because maybe these two with Norgard or then you're leaving out Vita and Jensen, who I thought, by the way, Matthias Jensen, first half, I think was superb at the weekend. So we've got selection headaches going into Saturday's game. Flex, have you got the same thing?
Yeah, we've got loads of new signings waiting in the wings, not sure who to pick. There are a couple of selection headaches, yeah, but
Seriously, you've got a huge, vastly talented squad, mate. Look.
We do. I think I'm not gonna come on here and plead. Oh, look at us. We're struggling, and like the journey you guys have been on. And when I listen to the togetherness that you have, and you look at a player who's been out injured there, always been part of it. Manager makes sure that he gets his props, and that real family feeling. That's brilliant to see. So I'm not going to come on here as someone as a Manchester United fan asking for sympathy. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. We ruin too many people's childhoods. This is it. I've accepted that, and that's all right. But we're in a mess right now. We are. I'll be honest. We're in a bit of a mess right now. It's not so much losing the first game. There's a new manager with new principles. He's trying to get a new culture at the club, new tactics, new philosophies. You can lose. That's fine. I think it's just the lack of vision out of that tunnel. We were linked to Marko Arnautovic in and around that time. Thank God that didn't happen. On a personal opinion, I just don't think that was right. I think it shows a complete lack of planning. We look like we're panicking in other areas now after chasing, sort of Frenkie de Jong for the whole window. But we do have some good players, but players that have flattered to deceive for a while. They've not been at their best. I look at the likes of Marcus Rashford, so low on confidence, shadow of himself. Jadon Sancho still trying to adjust. Still trying to find a style of play that we can consistently play with that helps him. We've got the Ronaldo situation going on where he's just working his way up to fitness and some of the stuff off the pitch that surrounds his future as well. Martial's been injured as well. He had a great pre-season. And we're just not there. We've got problems in midfield as well in terms of the balance and the quality in there. Eriksen, yes, will be a massive help to that. Hopefully he can actually play in his position because he didn't get to do that for large parts against Brighton. So we have got a few selection. The biggest one is, does Ronaldo start?
Do you think he does?
I think he does this time, yeah. I think Ten Hag was pretty sure on saying to the fans and in his interviews that his philosophy is Ronaldo's a fantastic player. He's proved it time and time again, but it's not about what you've done, it's what condition you currently are in. And at the time of Brighton, the first game of the season, he'd only played 45 minutes against Rayo Vallecano and came off at half-time. That's literally all he had throughout the whole pre-season. So he stuck to his principles of saying he's one of the goats of the game, but he's not fit. So I'll play with Christian Eriksen as a false nine, which didn't work. But he's, win or lose, he said, I'll be on that. I'll be on that. But I think after seeing what we saw in Ronaldo with another 4 weeks training, I think now's the time we need a focal point up front. Definitely. I don't think Martial's back yet. So.
Because I probably wasn't alone, but I did look straight away at the lineup for Manchester United and see where Christian Eriksen lined up, because I absolutely adored him. I still hold him in such high regard. I think he's brilliant, and I'll give him a good reception, a warm reception, but nothing over the top at the weekend. I think he was.
You won't have a T-shirt with that.
I thought when he's given me some of the best part of a group that gave me probably the best memories I can have in a Brentford shirt, and I think there's a lot of stuff floating around about what happened in the summer that none of us probably really actually know, and I think there's a lot of hearsay, and I think unfortunately a narrative's being created. I'm not going to get into that in too much detail. So I looked anyway, and I saw he was playing in that number 9, and I was a bit surprised. How did it play out, and how did it compare when he moved?
It didn't start out great at all. Christian Eriksen's qualities, and you guys have seen it most recently. He needs to be on the ball. He needs to be on the ball. Needs to be facing the goal as well. That's where he does his best work. He brings other people into play. Fantastic range of passing, both long and short. Progressive on the ball. He can carry the ball. playing with his back to goal against Lewis Dunk, Veltman and Webster is not Christian Eriksen's game.
It's not a fair battle,
and
is
it's
it
not
really?
it's not a fair battle, and at times I think he got quite frustrated. You know, our attacks were breaking down very easily. It was easy for Brighton to set up and play against that. You know, they play with the three at the back, and they were so comfortable with nobody to mark. You know, and no disrespect to Christian Eriksen, because it's not his game. What's he going to do? He's not going to run channels and run in behind, or hold off Lewis Dunk in an aerial challenge and bring it down like Ivan Toney could and link the play. It just did not work. And then he went wandering, to be fair, in the first half, trying to get on the ball and make things happen and get runners in Jadon Sancho and Rashford hopefully ahead of him. But the quality just wasn't there all round as a team. In the second half, Ronaldo came onto the pitch, Eriksen dropped into midfield, completely different. I'm not going to say we were banging down the door to score, but we certainly looked a lot better. And every Manchester United fan knows that was a kind of bit unfair on Eriksen to have to take one for the team. I really would have thought if he was going to go a false nine, it probably would have been Bruno. Yeah. Because, you know, we've had experiences of him last year playing that, but obviously Ten Hag, new manager, sticks to his philosophy. So Christian Eriksen must start in midfield for Manchester. He has to, absolutely has to against Brentford.
We need to wrap up time-wise, but were there signs of a style that was different with Ten Hag? Has he not had a chance yet to maybe implement that, or could you see any difference there?
The problem that we had is Manchester United are really weak mentally. We're really fragile. So the first sort of 5, 10, 15 minutes, we actually played okay. He was moving the ball all right, doing well in possession, doing well in transition. As soon as the goal happened, as soon as Brighton started to get a bit of confidence, they went back to tight, because that's all we know. We're trying to learn something new. You have to expect that. So on pre-season, there were a lot more signs, and I know it's pre-season, but you could see early signs of tactically how he wants to set up. I'm definitely not going to, criticise too much on that. But we've got a whole load of players who are used to playing in a totally different way to what Erik ten Hag's trying to do, and that makes us fragile both in and out of possession. And that's where I think Brentford can hurt Manchester United. If I look back to the game last season, that first half should have been 3-0. Should have been 3-0. And I remember doing the show with yourself before in stadium, saying I'm worried about this game. And really, the scoreline, I know Thomas Frank afterwards was somewhat frustrated. And Manchester United fans were a little bit critical of how he was in defeat.
Yes.
They were lucky, and they put the subs on and stuff like that. But essentially, I think that frustration came from, you guys should have really put us to bed in the first half. And fast forward now, we've been through a lot and we're really, really fragile. So yes, there's new principles, and I don't expect us to play as badly as we did against Brighton. But if I'm a Brentford fan, or more importantly for Thomas Frank and setting up youth boys to play against us, I'm saying absolutely go for it. This is a fragile Manchester United. The pressure is absolutely on. Our next home game is Liverpool. You have the chance to kind of compile on the misery. You do.
It's kind of like bully Man United.
Absolutely, be at it. I shouldn't even be saying this, but it's true.
Say it, tell it.
Yeah, that's how Thomas Frank, I believe, needs to set up his team, and I don't think he'll do anything like that.
Be interesting to see tomorrow, won't it? Get your opinions down in the comments below. What do you think the score is going to be? How do you think it's going to play out? Will Ronaldo start? We want you to say what you think in the comments below. That is it for this week. It was good to have you both back. It was, and cheers to Josh Dasilva on our new signing, and thanks for joining us.
For Manchester United.
Cut that out.
No, keep it in when we lose in life.
I was too tired to look to the left, but I was like this. I see Burgundy top. He's either you or hello.
I even lost my motivation. I see